Get yourself into a place where you're setting yourself up on a lying position where your heart can be opened, either rolling a blanket or a towel underneath of the length of your spine, maybe allowing your arms to come out towards the side, palms towards the sky. Your knees can be bent or your legs can be straight on the floor. If you do have your knees bent, one option is to bring your feet about mat distance apart and just drop your knees towards each other. That'll just be a little bit more of a constructed rest, a supported rest. And as you sit here or lie here with this opening of the heart, just begin to notice your body and your breath. And just settle body onto the mat, onto whatever's beneath you. Notice the support that it offers you. Allow yourself just to become present in this moment. So I want to share a little story. This is from Hindu mythology. The pose that we're going to work towards tonight is called Natarajasana. It's the king of the dancer, lord of the dancer pose. Don't worry, it's not a pose that you have to achieve in any sort of way. It's just something that's fun to play with. But the story comes from Shiva Nataraja, who is the king of the dances or the lord of the dances. And in Hindu mythology, we often see Shiva Nataraja in a circle of flames standing on an evil spirit. And so what that evil spirit represents is ignorance. And Shiva does this amazing dance, this ecstatic dance of destruction. So this ecstatic dance of destruction actually begins to lay the foundation for the creation and the sustenance of the universe. So this circle of fire that Shiva dances in, it symbolizes the eternal cycle of birth, life, and death. And so it made me really think about the place that we're in and sort of this huge unknown with this pandemic, right? Lot of negative feelings, lot of negative things happening in the world, right? And in Hindu mythology, we can turn to these stories and really begin thinking about, well, how does that relate to us? So the name Shiva derives from the Sanskrit root that means liberation, liberation or freedom. Right, and Shiva Nataraja can't stop the passage of time. He can't stop the fire that surrounds him. But in this ecstatic dancing, he can find bliss amid the chaos. So the pose, Natarajasana, Lord of the Dance pose, is kind of this homage to the idea that you can be steady and joyful, that you can find freedom or liberation right at the center, even with all of this change, even with all of the fire or the destruction that happens around us. And so in our practice tonight, in body, mind, and breath, in heart, spirit, I invite you to just begin feeling, sensing, and noticing what are the changes that are happening around you and how can you create that sense of steadiness, joy, liberation at the center of all of that. So right now I invite you to bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly as you breathe in full body breath. Really feel that sense of rise and fall. See if you can bring a little bit of joy, a little bit of liberation, a little bit of steadiness right here in this moment. Not trying to get rid of the fire or the chaos around us, but just finding that place of peace within. And if there's something that surfaced for you that would be helpful to set an intention around tonight for your practice on the mat, please take a few more deep breaths and just seal that intention for yourself. I can be free. I can find bliss. I can be steady. or something that's more personal to you. Take one more deep and full breath into your heart and belly. Release with an exhale through your mouth as you bring your hands back down to your sides. And then bend your knees, and in a way that feels good for you, you're going to roll yourself over onto hands and knees and come up into some sort of table pose, taking a few minutes on the mat now just to begin moving your body in a way that feels joyful and blissful. It could be a traditional cat-cow. You could just take a child's pose. Blanket under your knee is totally welcome. Just begin moving in a way that feels good to you, whatever that bliss and joy feels like in this moment for you on your mat. And then in whatever movements you are making, it might be circling the hips. It might be stretching out to one side. See if you can connect your movement with breath, whatever that means for you. Begin moving into the senses of the intention that you set for yourself, or the themes we're exploring tonight, this idea of joy and liberation, this idea of steadiness, right in the midst of all the chaos, right in the midst of the fire. What would it feel like to feel that sense of joyful dance right here on hands and knees? And then let's move together in some cat-cows. So wrists underneath of your shoulders, shoulder creases facing the front of the mat. Press strongly into your entire palm, especially your second finger. Knees under hips. And then on an inhalation, you're going to lower your belly, lift your heart, look up. Nice, bright, shining breath here. And then exhale, push the floor away from you. Round yourself into Halloween cat pose. Move with your own breath through cat and cow. Feel the articulation down your entire spine. Take one more round of breath. And then let's really accentuate the movement in our lumbar spine, so the low part of our back. So as you move through cat and cow with breath, right, you're going to still move your heart space, your belly space, but really see if you can feel it in your low body, in your lower back, that lumbar curve that often gets a little bit stretched out when we're sitting for too long, as many of us are now, working from home, slumping on the couch. Keep that breath as your guide. Take one more round of breath, really focusing on lumbar curve. Good. Now we're going to accentuate the movement in our thoracic spine. So sort of at the mid-back, almost as if you're drawing your heart forward in cow pose, and looking in towards your heart, really puffing up your back body, that middle part of your body in cat pose. You're still moving your entire spine, but you're focusing a lot of attention right now on the middle part of your back. Take one more round of breath right there. And then let's move with our cervical spine as the focus. So now we're looking at our next curve, right? Really draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Press your nose towards the front of your mat. Exhale, drop, and really look all the way down. Allow your head to hang. Feel as though the movement is almost coming from the crown of your head here. As you sweep up with the inhale and curl under on the exhale. One more round of breath there. Nice. Then come to a nice neutral spine. Neutral does not mean belly is sagging. Draw your transverse abdominis muscles, those muscles that are like the corset around your belly button, so that your core is nice and strong. Press into the floor, shoulders move away from your ears. You're gonna extend your right leg behind you, keep your toes on the floor, and fire up that back leg really strong. Draw the thigh bone into its socket and then press away through your heel. Take a deep breath right there, firing that right leg up. And then on your next inhale, you're gonna lift. Left arm, right leg. Keep engaging in the core. Draw your belly button in and up towards your spine. One more breath. Next, exhale, draw your knee and your knee and elbow together. There we go. Inhale to extend. Exhale, draw it in. A little bit of core work here. Inhale to extend. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale to extend. Hold it there for one breath. Exhale, touch all the way back down. Nice job. Pause in that table for just a moment. Then extend your left leg. Keep your toes on the floor for a moment. Get that back leg fired up, right? You're reaching the inseam of your pants or your shorts or whatever you're wearing towards the ceiling. Thigh is really engaged. Draw that thigh bone into its socket. Press back through your heel. On your next inhalation, left leg, right arm come up. Draw your belly button in. Feel the breath in your back body. Take a deep inhalation here. And then exhale, knee comes towards elbow, round your back. Inhale, lengthen and extend. Exhale, draw it in. One more, just like that, everyone. You're doing great. Inhale, lengthen and extend. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, lengthen and extend. Take a deep breath here. Exhale, touch back down. Inhale into cow pose. Exhale, round it through cat pose and press all the way back to child's pose or a seated pose. We were on our wrists for a while, so give them a little rotation. Take some weight off the wrists and just rest. Breathe for a moment here, reflecting on your intention. This idea of finding joy, peace, amidst all that work we just started. Nice job. On your next inhale, float yourself back up to table. Press strongly into the floor. You're going to take your right leg back and up and send the sole of your foot towards the sky, but keep drawing your knee towards the floor. Knee towards the floor, sole of the foot towards the sky, thigh is parallel towards the floor. Take a deep breath here. Stretch your left arm out and then reach behind you and find your foot. Press your foot into your hand into your foot, and maybe you'll open up towards the left side of your mat just a little bit. Feel the length in your spine. Draw your tailbone down and lift your belly up. See if you can get a little bit more length right there. Take one more breath. Deep inhale, exhale, release. Place your left hand down on the floor. Keep your right foot up if you can. And then you're going to reach back and find your right foot with your right hand. Press your right foot into your right hand this time. See if you can keep your hips level. So you're not opening up towards the side. The thigh stays parallel towards the floor. Knee points down. Press your foot into your hand. Take one more breath. Exhale, extend nice and long, and then touch back down. Woo, we're getting ready for that Lord of the Dance pose. Take a deep inhale, right into cow. Exhale, push back, cat to child. Take a break just for a moment. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna do the opposite hand with opposite foot, same hand, same foot. Float yourself back up to table. Extend your left leg strong and steady behind you, and then bend your knee. Knee points towards the floor, sole of the foot towards the sky. Thigh is moving towards parallel. Take a moment, and then when you're ready, extend your right hand, reach behind and find your foot. Press your foot into your hand into your foot. And then begin opening up your chest towards the right just a little bit. If the thigh begins to cramp, flex your foot and hold on to your ankle instead of your foot. Take one more deep shining breath here. Thigh and knee are parallel to the floor, knee pointing down. Exhale, release. Place your right hand down, maybe your left leg stayed up. Bend your left knee again. If you straighten it, reach back with your left hand this time. We're not opening here, right? We're pushing foot or ankle into hand, hand into foot or ankle. Knee and thigh stay parallel towards the floor and pointing down. One more breath here. Exhale, release. Touch down, bring your hands down, tuck your toes, and send your hips all the way up and back. Downward facing dog. Woo. Nice job. You can bend your knees as much as you like here. Bring one heel closer towards the floor. Bring the other heel closer towards the floor. So Natarajasana is a big back bending pose, right? So what I want you to really work on here in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, is lengthening the spine, right? Don't worry so much about your hamstrings, so you can keep your feet bent or your knees bent as much as you want. Press into the earth. Feel that length in your spine. Send your tailbone sky high. Beautiful. Take one more breath. If at any point you want to come down and take a rest, you're going to do that. Take good care of yourself. On your next inhalation, come up high on your tippy toes. Shift forward into plank pose. Press into the earth. Feel breath in your back body, right? Just like we were in table, we're not sinking down. Take one more breath here in plank. Strong legs. Exhale, belly's going to come all the way down to the ground in one long line, or knees down, then chest. Pause here for a moment. Create a little pillow with your arms or your hands for your forehead, and just give yourself a moment to breathe. If low back is giving you any issue, keep rooting down through your tailbone. Draw your pelvic floor tilted just a little bit towards the mat. You can also bend your knees and windshield wiper your legs from side to side to release any tension you're feeling in your back already. We'll do that together in a moment also. We're going to move into Cobra pose. So hands can stay under your shoulders or come out beyond the mat, wherever you prefer. We're going to move Cobra with breath. So on an inhale, you're going to lift, not to your full extension. Exhale, come down. Make sure your thighs and knees and toes are pressed into the floor. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come down. One more time. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come down. Before we go into and hold for breath, extend one leg back and then the other. Press your toes, your knees, your thighs, your pelvic floor into the earth. On your next inhalation, lift into your fuller expression of Cobra, not to cramp your low back, right? Keep your tailbone tucking down, lift in your low belly, open up your heart, draw your ears and shoulder blades away from each other. You can turn your hands in a little bit if you want to feel some broadening through your shoulders, and maybe tuck your chin just a little bit. Take one more breath here. Exhale, push yourself all the way back into child's pose. Release your low back here. Big toes together, knees as wide as apart as you like. Forehead resting down on your hands or a block or the floor. And breathe. Walk your fingertips forward towards the front of your mat, but leave your tush back near your heels. Feel the length in both sides of your body. So your ears are going to be up between your arms. Feel that length press back through your low back, through your sits bones, and then walk your hands on over towards the right side. So now we're pressing back through the left sits bones. Left hand can come flat if you like. Isometrically draw it towards you, lift up in your left armpit. Maybe right hand comes back by your right foot or across your lower back if you like. Feel some length in the left side body. Take one more breath there. And then walk it back through the center. Fingertips on the floor, walk far away from you and all the way over towards the left side. So again, you can play with what that right hand does here. Maybe it isometrically draws towards you, lift up your right armpit. Maybe it feels good to isometrically push your right hand away from you. Notice what feels good in your right side body there. Keep rooting down through your right sits bones, your right hip. Take one more breath there. And then walk it back through the center. Nice. Bring your hands alongside of your feet, a little turtle pose. Chin is tucked, head is down. One breath there. And then on your next inhalation, rise all the way up onto your knees. Patting under your knees is totally welcome. If this is not comfortable for you to be high on your knees, you can sit back down on your heels, or you can sit however is most comfortable for you. But if you can be up high, come up high, press your tailbone down towards the floor, lift the front of your pelvis towards you just a little bit. It's going to create a little bit more space in your low back. Take a deep breath and bring your arms all the way up high. Press down through your hip points, down through your knees into the floor. Lift from your waistline all the way up. Take a deep shining breath here. Joy, peace. Exhale, right hand is going to come elbows towards your ear. Gomukhasana arms. Left arm swings behind you. Fingertips reach towards each other. They might never reach. It's not a contest. Breathe deeply. See if you've pressed your ribs out to make that connection happen. And if you have, see if you can just draw your ribs in a little bit. Press your head back into your right arm. Take one more breath. Exhale, release. Shake it out. Whew. So in one version of Natarajasana, we can reach back for our foot and our elbow comes up towards the sky. So that's what we're getting our arms prepped for. Take a deep breath, bring your arms all the way up overhead. Press down through your tailbone, down through your hips, down through your knees to lift up from your waistline towards your fingertips. Maybe there's space for a little bit of a back bend here. Exhale, left arm goes down behind, right arm swings behind, Gomukhasana arms on the other side. This is the side that I can never reach yet. Notice what you're doing with your ribs. Notice what happened with your pelvic floor. We're creating space in our low back, lift in our heart, press your head back. Take one more breath there. Exhale, release. Nice job. If you have blocks or water bottles or cans, it might be helpful now to grab them and place them on the outsides of your feet. Knees about hip distance apart. Press into the floor and lift just like we were doing before, but don't raise your arms. We're going to do a version of camel pose here, a little bit of prep to get us there. Take a nice deep breath. Lengthen, draw your pelvic bone forward, like you're tilting it towards the front of your screen or the mat or wherever you're at. Create some length in your belly, and then just lean back towards your heels. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, just lean back. You're using core muscles here to hold yourself upright. Inhale, come up. One more, just like that. Exhale, lean back. Keep your body nice and long, right? You're not sagging. Inhale, come up. Nice job. So knees back to hip distance apart if they moved at all. Draw your inner thighs in, almost as if you were trying to squeeze the block in your inner thighs. Look back and make sure that your shins, the lower half of your legs, are parallel, right? You're not aiming your toes out. You're not aiming them in. Toes and shins are parallel. Outer hips soft. Take a breath there. Place your hands into your low back, fingers pointing down. And then on an inhalation, you're gonna lift your shoulders up towards your ears and draw them down your back as you begin moving into a little bit of a baby back bend. This feels like it's coming from your heart and your thoracic spine, that mid back, not your low back, mid back. That's what we were practicing before. Lift your heart, lift your heart, lift your heart. Maybe reach back with one hand to touch a block, or tuck your toes to touch your heel. Or if your feet are flat on the mat, reach back and touch your heel. Press into your heel to lift your heart up. We're here for 2 more breaths. You can drop your head back a little bit if that feels good for you. At any point you're coming out, do so mindfully. 1 more breath. Super good, everyone. Come all the way up. Send your heels down, toes together, knees apart, child's pose. Take a breath. So all of those back bends we've done so far, cobra, camel, are all getting us prepared for our peak pose, Natarajasana tonight. It's a balancing pose and a back bend, and it's a whole lot of fun challenges wrapped up into one. Feel a breath right now. Really strongly breathe into your lumbar spine, that low back. Almost as if somebody were putting a hand there. See if you can breathe into that low back. Whoever's touching you on your back has just moved your hand up to your thoracic spine, right behind your heart on your back body. Breathe into that space right now. Breathe in joy, breathe in peace, breathe in strength, breathe in your intention. Nice job. Spread your fingers, walk them forward onto the front of your mat. Lift your bum enough just to tuck your toes and press back, downward facing dog. We did some pedaling before. If you want to do a little bit more pedaling, you can. Then see if you can come to a place of stillness for a breath or 2. Draw your elbows towards each other. Broaden your shoulder blades as much as you can on your back. Lift your armpits. And then raise your right foot towards the sky. One strong and steady line from your crown of your head out through your heel. Knee and thigh point towards the ground. Take 1 more breath here. And then exhale, just like we did before when we were in table pose, you're gonna draw your knee in towards your nose and step your right foot forward. Here we are in a lunge. Blocks are available or props, whatever works for you. Lift both eyes up really high and then extend energy out through your left heel. Bring your right knee over your right ankle. Draw that left thigh bone in towards the hip socket, just like we were before, and extend out through the heel. So it's almost like you're going in 2 opposite directions in that back leg. If you joined me last week when we did Hanumanasana, that front and back split, that was the action we were working on last week. Take 1 more breath here, and then lower your left knee on the exhalation, sliding it back maybe a little bit. Untuck your toes so that your toenails click to the floor. Inhale, lift your spine up nice and high. You can have fingertips on blocks if you like, or on your front thigh. Tuck your tailbone and create a little bit of space for your belly to move away from your thigh. Hands can come to heart center or up overhead. Anjaneyasana, a beautiful gesture of offering, of receiving. Take one more breath here. If you want to bring your left foot towards your buttocks, you can reach back with either hand for a little bit more of a balancing pose and quad stretch here. If you're doing that, take one more breath. Exhale, release if you had it up. Bring your hands down to frame your foot or on blocks and shift your hips back towards your left heel. As you bring your right leg straight, peel the toes off of the floor as you draw that right thigh bone into its socket. Bring your left thigh bone along with it so that they're parallel. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, you can keep your spine nice and long, but maybe you bring your belly down towards your thigh. So a little half Hanumanasana here. Take one more breath. On your exhale, you're going to plant your hands and frame your right foot. Step that foot back into downward facing dog. If you need a rest, this would be a great time for it. Drop your knees, come to child's pose or a seat. We're going to do the other side in just a moment. If you've taken a rest, come on back up to downward facing dog. We're going to raise our left leg this time. Knee and toes point towards the floor. Draw your right hip up. Left hip down to keep them even. On your next exhalation, you're going to draw your knee towards your nose as you come forward almost into a plank pose. Puff up your back body and then step your left foot in front. Here you are back in a lunge. Blocks are available if you like them. Lift both of your thighs really high, almost as if you were going to straighten your front foot. And then exhale, bring that left knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor, perhaps. Right angle. Draw the right thigh into its hip socket, and just like we did before, extend energy out through the heel. Drop your tailbone just a little bit, but keep your hips lifted. Lengthen through your spine, out through the crown of your head. Good. Take one more deep inhalation here. Exhale, right knee comes down, slides back maybe a little bit. Click your toenails towards the ground. Draw your hips in towards each other. Tuck your tailbone so that you're shifting your pelvic floor towards the front of your mat. As you raise your belly away from your front thigh, hands can come to heart center. Maybe up overhead, Anjaneyasana. Take a deep inhalation. Raise your arms a little higher if they're extended, or lift the crown of your head. Exhale, maybe you can sink a little bit deeper into that knee bend. Getting a nice stretch along the hip flexor and front thigh of your right leg. If you want, reach back for that right foot this time with either hand. This just intensifies the balance, intensifies the stretch in the right thigh. If you've got a hold of your foot, exhale, don't slingshot, release it gently. Everybody, shift your hips towards your right heel this time. Peel the toes of your left foot off the floor. Keep your spine lifted and long. Draw the left thigh bone now into its socket. Isometrically draw your left heel towards your nose. Exhale, keep your spine nice and long, but maybe belly comes towards thighs. Breathe deeply. What would it feel like to be a joyful dancer, stomping out ignorance here in this pose? Good job. One more deep inhalation. Exhale, you're going to bend your left knee. Plant your hands around your left foot. Step back, downward facing dog, or take a break, rest in child's pose or a seated pose. If you're in downward facing dog, notice the impact of all that stretching. Maybe your heels have come a little bit closer to the floor. Maybe you can feel a little bit stronger in your legs. Good job. If you're in downward facing dog, you're going to walk your hands back towards your feet. If you took a break, you're going to roll yourself up into Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Press both feet strongly into the earth. Draw your kneecaps up, keeping your thighs engaged, and release your spine, belly towards thighs. Knees can be bent if you like. Shake your head yes. Shake your head no. 3 pranams here. So you're going to inhale, come up halfway, nice long spine. Exhale to release. Inhale, slide your hands up, nice long spine. Exhale to release. One more just like that. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, release. Good job. This time, inhale, halfway up. Pause for a moment here. You can bend your knees as much as you like. Send your tailbone back behind you, the crown of your head forward. Feel that engagement of core even here. Bend your knees really deeply, and then inhale, bring your arms all the way up overhead. Press down from your hips, all the way down to your heels. Stretch from your waistline up to your fingertips. Take one more great breath here. Maybe there's a place for a little bit of opening of arms and back bend. And then exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Take a moment here in mountain pose just to recenter. Reconnect with your intention, the feelings of joy, even amidst all the movement, even amidst all of the stretching, even amidst the chaos, whatever's going on in mind and heart, come back to center of love, center of joy, center of peace. Exhale, release your hands down by your sides. If you have a tennis ball, now's the great time to get it. If you don't, you're gonna either sit down and give yourself a little bit of a foot massage, or you can just begin moving your feet around and around on the ball of your foot and on the heel of your foot. My tennis ball keeps moving towards you guys because my house is old. If you do have a tennis ball, you're just gonna begin pressing into the tennis ball. Right? There's lots of ways to do this. We're gonna do it just for about a minute on each foot. So not a really long time. You can press, you can roll. Tennis balls are an amazing tool for fascia release. So the reason we're doing this right now, the fascia are the connective tissues in our body, right? So when we get a massage, a self-massage, or somebody else is doing it for us, or partner's giving us a nice Thai massage, whatever it might be, we're releasing some of that connective tissue that gets us feeling stuck, right? Releasing some of that stickiness. So I have found, go to your favorite spot or the spot you haven't gotten to on your right foot or whichever foot you're doing first. I'm going to continue my story in a second. Come off the ball or stop massaging and stand in Tadasana. Take a few breaths here just to notice whatever there is to notice. Right, so if you were not using a tennis ball and you were doing a lot of self-massage with the floor, the feeling might not be quite as intense. Tennis balls are pretty magical. All right, let's do the other foot for about a minute. You might just notice the difference between the two sides. But what I've found in my practice is when I'm going to do a standing pose and I need to balance on one foot, I'm able to do it so much better if I do a little fascia release, if I do a little self-massage on my feet first. Just helps me feel like I'm more connected to the earth, I'm more connected to the ground, which allows me then, whoops, to play around with balance. If you're like, oh my gosh, I really could use a tennis ball and some blocks, Willow Street Yoga Center does do prop delivery. Just a little plug for the studio. Keep us in business through this. All right, go back to your favorite spot or the spot you didn't get to. And then when you're ready, scoot the ball away or stop your self-massage and come back to mountain pose and take a deep breath and notice where breath flows. Shift your weight over into your left foot. I'm not going to mirror you. I'm going to do it alongside with you. Shift your weight over into your left foot without popping your hip out. So keep drawing your left hip in and down. Pop your right heel out, up Turn your right knee out. We're going into tree pose. Wherever you want to go is okay, right? So toes can stay on the floor, slide it up to the shin, or reach down and bring it up over the thigh. Wherever you are, press foot into thigh, thigh into foot. Find your drishti, that point of focus. Hands can come to heart center or up overhead. Keep feeling as though your left hip point is moving in and down. Take one more breath. Good job. You're gonna exhale, bring that right knee towards right knee towards left knee. Hold on to your right foot. We're getting a little bit of a thigh stretch here, and we're testing our balance. Draw your foot towards your buttocks, but keep your knees towards each other, and tuck your tailbone, lift your belly, and you might feel a little bit more. At any point you need to release before I've directed there, like I just did, bring your foot down. Take one more breath if you're still up. Exhale, touch down. Super good, everybody. We're gonna do the other side, and then we're gonna do a similar thing before we go into Natarajasana. So, right thigh, nice and strong. Draw it in towards the hip socket, towards the thigh socket. Send energy out through your heels, that balance action, up and down. Pop your left heel, turn your left knee out. Here we go for tree pose on the other side. Hands can come to heart center, up overhead. Notice the difference between the two sides. Imagine that idea of hip all the way down into floor. Take one more bright shining breath. See if you can lengthen a little bit taller. Good job. And then we're going to bring left foot, left hand together, knee to knee. Tuck your tailbone a little bit. Bring your pelvic floor forward. Lift your belly. One more breath here. Exhale to touch down. Shake it out. All right, a couple of notes before we go into our final pose before cool down. So, Lord of the Dancer pose. The biggest tendency in this pose is to want to open the thigh and bring the knee out towards the side like this, right? What we're trying to do is to keep thigh parallel and knee pointing down, just like we've been working on all night, right? So we're going to bring our foot into our hand. Let's all start with the right side. Foot into hand, hand into foot, just like we were before. Knees towards each other. We're going to extend the right leg behind us. So knee tracks up. Thigh comes more parallel to the earth, but knee still points down. If thigh begins cramping, you're going to flex your foot. Walls are a super helpful prop for this pose. Press from your right hip point down into the floor. Press your ankle or your foot into your hand into your ankle, and extend either your left arm out in front of you or alongside of you. Take one more breath. Exhale, don't slingshot. Release it gracefully. Step your right foot back far so you come into a warrior one version. Drop your tailbone. Lift your belly and heart. Bend into that front knee. Nice. A little humble warrior. We're going to bring our belly and our chest all the way down. Head comes towards left knee. Super good. One more breath here, everyone. Inhale yourself back up. Nice job. All right, I want to take a pause here for a moment. If you have a question, go over, unmute yourself and before we try the other side. It's really hard, I know. And it's really fun, right? We're trying to find that joy. Trying to find a little bit of peace. All right, we only have one more side to try. Option to try it a second time on each side if you want. Option to go to the wall. From your right hip point all the way down to the floor. Left knee towards left knee, hold on to your left foot. Take a deep inhale here. Lift your belly. Exhale, press your foot back into your hand into your foot. Bring your thigh parallel to the earth. I hope this is the second side. Knee tracks down. Extend your right arm forward. Maybe it would feel like an offering to have palm up. Take one more breath here. Exhale, step all the way back into warrior one. So now your left foot is planted, leg is long and strong, right knee is bent. Hands can come up overhead or towards heart center. Draw your tailbone down and under, lift your heart. Exhale, humble warrior, you're gonna bring your shoulder on the inside of your right knee. Release your head down. Inhale to come back up. Step your feet together. Shake it out just a little bit. So we're going to take a few moments here. If you want to play, we're going to transition down to the floor. But if you want to play with that same pose on each side, totally up to you. It's also fine to say, no mas, I've had enough for tonight, Lori. Thank you very much. And if that's the case, you're going to come down onto your seat on the floor. Bring your feet about mat distance wide and just begin windshield wiping your legs from side to side. If you're trying Natarajasana again, the Lord of the Dance pose, press your foot into your hand into your foot. You're working towards a thigh that's parallel, or you're working towards bringing your leg up a little bit higher, maybe reaching back into the inside of your foot, drawing your elbow up towards the sky as your foot comes closer, maybe reaching back with the opposite hand. Not in my wheelhouse tonight, but it is for some people. If you haven't done the second side, go ahead and try the second side. Super rock stars, everyone. Those of you in Natarajasana, take one more breath wherever you are, and then you're going to join us on the floor, windshield wipering your knees from side to side. So what we're doing here is we're just giving our tailbone, our buttocks, our thighs a little bit of release. For those of you who've been doing that for a moment or two, the next time your knees go over towards the left, you're going to lead them towards the left, press the inseam or the arch of your left foot into your right knee into your left foot. Inhale, lengthen and begin turning towards the left side of your mat. If you're still windshield wipering, take one more turn on each side and then come and join us, please. Keep your spine nice and long and then begin walking your hands out on the diagonal. Keep pressing knee into foot, foot into knee, drawing your left hip down towards the floor and back slightly. Keep your spine nice and long, but maybe release down onto your forearms. This is a little psoas stretch. That muscle that twists, wraps around our hip into our low back from our pelvic floor. Keep drawing your shoulders isometrically away from your ears. If you're on your forearms, you could also isometrically draw your elbows and forearms towards you as you lengthen your spine. Take one more breath. Breathe into the back body. Next inhale brings you all the way up. Flip over towards the other side. Left knee presses into right arch. Begin walking your hands on the diagonal so you're turning your body now towards the right. Lengthen your spine, press down into your right hip. As you walk your hands forward, keep your spine nice and long. Draw your belly in and over your right thigh, and then maybe come onto your forearms. Breathe into lumbar curve of your spine. Breathe into the thoracic spine, mid-back. Send energy out through the crown of your head and down into the right hip, the same time. Next inhale brings you all the way back up. Nice job. Bring your knees towards the sky, feet about mat distance apart. You're gonna just lean back, so stay on your sit bones. You're not gonna round your back. Just a little boat pose. Lift your feet if you want, 1 foot at a time. Both, maybe extend your arms in front of you or hold yourself up with your fingertips on the floor. Draw your heart forward. If you like here, extend one leg or both. Your choice. Take one more breath. Good. Draw your knees in towards your chest and exhale, roll all the way down to the floor. So knees are in towards chest. Rock and roll in a way that feels good for you. It could be side to side. Could be holding onto your knees and opening them out wide and then sending them towards the front of your mat. Then drawing them back in towards your nose. Release yourself in a way that feels delicious for you right now. If you want to take another twist, bring your feet about mat distance apart. Drop your knees over towards one side. Maybe lengthen with your arm out. Right, so this is a moment of yogi's choice here before Shavasana. For some of us, it might feel good if we're in, knees in, reach for the outsides of the foot into a little happy baby pose. You're lying down, I was not. And then whatever else you need to settle down and get ready for Shavasana. So for Shavasana tonight, I'm going to guide you through a little bit of body relaxation. Then I'm going to get quiet. I'm going to move towards the screen. When I invite you to begin deepening your breath and moving your body, if you want to stay in Shavasana longer, oftentimes in my online classes, Shavasana ends up getting a little shorter than they do in my regular classes. We also only have an hour together. You can stay in Shavasana as long as you want. So as you begin settling and releasing into the floor, or the chair, the couch, or whatever you might be sitting or lying on, just begin to notice how your feet can release. Notice the heaviness of your heels, perhaps. Notice the release of your shins and calves, your knees, thighs and hamstrings, just releasing and softening into the ground beneath you. Feeling heavy, settled, pelvic floor releases. Feel breath throughout your entire back body, just like we were focusing on before. Lumbar curve, thoracic spine, all the way up into your shoulders. Feel as though each muscle can soften a little bit deeper. Notice breath in side body and front body, the rise and fall of belly, the expansion of ribs in front and side body. Breath all the way up into your clavicles, down your shoulders and out your arms all the way to your fingertips. If it's comfortable for you, have your arms stretched out alongside your body with the palms facing up. Notice breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils, softening the muscles of your throat and face. Feel your tongue soften in the back. Feel your inner ears open and soften. Inner corners of your eyes. Outer corners of your eyes. And finally, the space between your eyebrows and the center of your forehead, your third eye. See if you can drop that a little bit further towards the mat or the floor as you rest and receive the benefits of your practice in Shavasana. Stay in Shavasana or begin to deepen that breath. Allow the deeper inhalation and exhalation to bring awareness back to the present moment. As you're ready, wiggle your fingers or your toes to bring awareness back to your body in the present moment. And then as you're ready, make those movements a little larger, maybe drawing your knees back in towards your chest or reaching your arms overhead. Make your way over onto one side, draw your knees in towards your chest, and pause in that fetal position for a few breaths. As you super softly and sweetly bring yourself back. Present moment. Press your arms into the earth to sit back up. We started our class on our backs, but today we're going to finish our class in a seat. Make sure that you're sitting well. Maybe draw the flesh away from your buttocks just to feel that connection to the earth. Sit up on a blanket or a block or a chair, or the couch just at the edge so you feel that sense of rooting down. Press into the floor with whatever's touching the floor. Draw some energy in and up your entire length of your spine. Bring one hand to belly and one hand to heart, just the way we started class. And take this moment to check in. How is body feeling? How is breath flowing? Where are your mind and your heart? Take the time to return into the intention that you set at the start of practice. Perhaps as it relates to the story of Shiva and Nataraj, the Lord dancer, amidst the chaos, the fire, stepping on ignorance, experiencing joy and bliss, experiencing strength and freedom. Notice where that sits for you right now at the end of your asana practice. And perhaps there's an intention you would like to take with you from your practice back into the world, to the rest of your night, the rest of your week. Take a moment here to breathe deeply into that sense and space. At the end of your exhalation, release your hands, drop them by your sides. We're going to take a few breaths together. So deep inhale, circle your arms all the way up. Palms come reaching towards the sky, and then exhale, palms join together, draw a line straight down to your heart. Pausing here, Anjali Mudra, the gesture of connection, to feel gratitude. Gratitude for your body, for your breath, for your mind and heart, for your practice. Take one more deep inhalation here. Exhale to release your hands by your sides. When you feel the next inhale come, allow the arms to circle up overhead again, reaching towards the sky as you root down into the earth. Exhale, hands draw down midline, right to heart center. Pausing here for a moment at heart center to feel gratitude for something larger than yourself. Take one more deep inhale here. Exhale as you release your hands by your sides. Last one together. Deep inhale, circle your arms all the way up. Root down as you rise up. Look up. Exhale, hands come right to heart center. This time, if you weren't before, touch thumb to heart center right at your sternum to remind yourself, live with your heart lifted and open. Open to the joy, open to the freedom and liberation, the possibilities that even the chaos we are in can provide. Let's take one more deep inhale here. Perhaps feeling the sound of Om reverberating through your body on exhale. If your eyes have been closed, you can softly open them. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to join in your practice tonight. I'm going to unmute you if you have questions, comments, feedback. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you guys for joining me tonight.